Atlanta Moms on the Move and My Atlanta Moms bring you a fantastic interview with The Help.
So after doing a film like The Help, I'm curious to know, how would you define a Southerner in the 21st century?
The word paradox comes to mind.
How so?
Well, I just think that's what's interesting about the South, and what people loved about Greenwood is you have a family of devout Christians going to church, and then they invite everybody over for milk punch. And everybody gets bombed. And everybody's like, we don't understand, it's everything. And I think that's what's fun. And then we celebrate everything hard. Religion hard. And then guess what, an hour later? Bourbon hard. It's just confusing. It's wonderfully confusing and complex. Good and the bad.
How were you able to make the language so authentic? No offense, but you know, the language of African Americans, and how are you really able to do that?
It goes to writing what you know and what you've experienced. And I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and Carol Lee was my co-mother, African American, and I basically was raised in the wonderful company of many African Americans, and also as far as the language goes, I think, you know, we had to really get it right as far the way the whites spoke. There's a certain way that Southern women of different society and privilege speak, and it wasn't more challenging, but differentiating between Celia and Charlotte, it's the same thing. So I don't like to think of it as there was the black dialect and the white. There were about 20 going on. And I mean, I have to hats off to Kathyrn on that as well.
You actually had a lot of family members join you in the film with your co-mothers and some of your own mothers and things like that. How was it working with them?
Well, my mom drove me crazy because she'd be going nuts to be in the movie, and I got her a pivotal role, and 2 hours later she's like, I haven't done anything. Fire me. This is horrible. It's boring. So that was funny. And then my nephew was 2.5. I hired him to be Hilly's son, and he was cutting up and had to fire him. She's like, you can't fire him. I go, well, yeah, $200,000 a day to have a film company going. He's got one more shot. But then, but no, it was great. My friends, my dad was in the movie, my mom ended up in the movie. We moved her up a little earlier, but it was just fun having them there. It makes it not feel like you're working. I just think you just got to talk. Sorry, you answer it. Did I cover you on that?
I mean, do you agree, or do you find that
What, that you have to talk about it?
that it's okay to talk about it when you're on?
Well, I'm someone who was in therapy for 6 years. I'm a big proponent of truth and talking about it and being open. I think that you're only as good as your secrets, you know. So absolutely you need to talk about it. And I think that the fact that we don't is because it is not pretty. Everybody wants to look good. Everybody. I mean, I've done biopics. I've auditioned for biopics of people, and I'm thinking, you know, everything, when people write stories about their lives, they leave out all the bad stuff. It's just all swept out. Everybody is courageous. Everybody triumphs in the end, and I wonder who that is helping. I just know that friendship starts when you share something with someone, especially something horrific, and they say, you know what, I went through the same thing, and healing can start from there. Otherwise, you're just building on a big old bed of lies.
And Viola, how long did it take you to take on this role? I mean, once you read it, was it automatic, or, you know, what emotion?
Take on the role, well, I'll be offered the role.
I mean, well,
and then you take on the role. But
when you read the script, let's say, what were your emotions?
It struck me right away. You know, usually characters of color are relegated to a page or two. You know, I always say that when you're invited to the coolest party in the world with the coolest people, you don't think about the people who were not invited. So a lot of times people say, oh, you've been working so long, you've had such an illustrious career, whatever. You know, usually I'll get 3 or 4 scenes in a movie, and that's it, at the most. At the most. I work a total of 9 days, maybe, and that's a lot. And people will say, yeah, but you were in that movie. I was a character in that movie. You know, I had a role. But this was a chance for me to actually really develop a character, to really be a part of it. You know, they're major and characters who are fully explored beyond taking care of babies and cooking in the kitchen, and they're lead roles for black women. So it was a no-brainer.
Do you have any family members that are, oh, I could tell you stories and things like that? Do you have any relatives in the South? Because I'm from Ohio, so.
All my family's in the South because,
Okay.
you know, I was born in South Carolina, Singleton Plantation, so all of my family members are in the South. So, yeah, everybody has stories. But, you know, with black people, the stories are such a part of our lives that we don't emphasize them as much. We don't talk about it. It's because it's like you're going about your day, you're cooking, and like, oh, how you doing? Oh, I'm going to the store, whatever. And so those kind of stories of tragedy are so kind of intertwined with our everyday. We don't talk about it. I mean, my mom the other day said something about horrible abuses that she endured when she was younger, but she just skimmed over it because we're just used to it.
But the book is so beloved by so many people. When both of you took on this project, like, how worried were you about the expectations? I mean, it's about to come out in theaters. I know some people have seen it. What are you thinking, and what have you done?
The greatest gift that could have ever happened was I got the rights when Kathyrn had nothing. She had been turned down for her 60th person. So when I got the rights, I thought I was adapting my friend's unpublishable manuscript. So I went out and wrote it free of Hollywood or anybody saying this has to be in there and this has to be in there. And I just wrote it as a tribute to my friend's book and making her happy. And to Carol Lee and Dimitri and the women that I all knew. So I didn't, no offense to the readers, I just didn't worry about it because if I kept true to the book and told the truth, that hopefully it would work out. And that was, but no, I mean, come on. The first time we started screening this, I did it back in December, and we went to Kansas City, and it was about 85% book readers. And then it ended, and they were really, really happy. I still get the rabid fans like, why did you change that? You cannot do that. I'm like, well, you had to. That's horrible.
And how about you, when you took on the role of Aibileen?
Oh, she had the most pressure.
I'm playing a maid, black actress playing a maid in 2011 in Hollywood. A lot of pressure.
Representing everybody's personal history.
You don't play a maid. That is something you
Really?
And you play a maid where a white woman has written a story and a white man is directing it. So there is no way that it's going to be, I'm essentially playing a mammy. So I felt a lot of pressure, absolutely. And then, of course, pressure from the readers who all wanted Oprah to play the role. And saw her as being 70 years old. And about 250 pounds, or, you know. And, yeah, I felt a lot of pressure. But it's like Tate said, if you work from that point of pressure and fear, your work is going to be crap. At some point, you just have to leave it alone and know that, you know, we have our own standard of excellence. I have to say with Tate, just to compliment him a little bit, this is one courageous dude. He's got a thick skin. I just would think every day, there's something I could do that I can knock him down.
We talked a lot about race. For both of you, it was a predominantly female cast. What was that like? Having a predominantly female cast in a movie. I haven't seen very many lately. And also, because it's not just a story of race, it is a story to me of these different women and what their expectations during that time were. So what were your feelings about that?
Well, for me, I don't even think of it as how many females are in there. Every time I start to write a screenplay, I keep making the characters female. They just, there's so much more going on with the female character. They have to wear so many different hats. They have to subscribe to so many different expectations. They're just infinitely more interesting to me. So I just think, I keep doing it. Every time I write a character, it's like, oh, here come the breasts.
The hormones.
All right. And the second part of your question was about?
Just the feel of the set, perhaps.
Oh, it was
having all those women.
It wasn't a single. Octavia would get hot and hungry, and she'd kind of be a bitch, but we would just throw her some chips, and she'd be all.
It was a love fest. No egos, nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Like
We had fun at night. It really. I've already prepared myself, and you've already had a work experience, isn't it? It's not probably ever going to get this.